Final Fantasy V is generally really good about avoiding the age-old all bosses are immune to anything but pure damaging moves stigma that plagues many games in the genre. Because of that, so many bosses are vulnerable to cheese, like kill them in 1 to 2 turns tier. It's great. So this is going to be strategies I've used or considered in the past. Maybe you can use some of these in your 4-job Fiesta runs. But let's get 2 things out of the way first. Early bosses aren't really cheesable as much since you have limited tools to work with. Spamming Thunder with 4 Black Mages is the most efficient way to do Karlabos in, and he's level 5, so it's plausible to hit him with a ×8 damage Goblin Punch, if you picked that up in the Wind Shrine. Fire and Cure spells on Siren's zombie form will shred her HP a lot faster than any attacks done when she's alive. She's only level 2, so unless you've deliberately turned EXP off in Pixel Remaster, or kept someone dead up to the boss to limit experience, it's very unlikely you'll get the ×8 Goblin Punch damage. But it's not impossible. Monk crits and the Flail also pierce her insane undead defense if you're lucky enough to land them. Aside from insta-giving with the Frost Rod, silencing Magissa will remove all her spell options except for Arrow, and she isn't heavy so it'll last a while. And Forza can be put to sleep, removing him from the fight entirely. Neither of them have any magic evasion, so the success rate is extremely high. They're also both level 8, so relatively within Goblin Punch range. The first of many physical-only bosses, Garula can be completely neutralized with the critical HP Knight strategy. Have all non-Knight party members in the low HP Kneeling Sprite, best done with the White Mage's Raise. Have the Knight use Guard every turn, you are now invincible. Mostly. The Knight will still take sap damage from Rush, but it's really slow, so potions like Cure will keep you alive. It can also be toaded with the Blue Mage's Pawn's Chorus, although he'll attempt to untoad himself if he is. Shiva starts the trend of many World 1 bosses having an elemental weakness, fire being king here, obviously. You don't have to fight Shiva right away, you can come back after getting Fyra and Karnak, or even after the castle escape and just flatten her with ninja fire scrolls. The soldiers are vulnerable to blind, so Flash takes care of them pretty well, letting you single target any fire spells you throw at Shiva. Level 11, within range depending on when you decide to fight her. Liquid Flame is weak to ice, Blizzara Magic and Spellblade shreds his HP, and you have Gravity at this point, which also works. The hand form, however, is both ice immune and heavy for some reason, so if he goes to that form, quickly hit him with something non-elemental to get him to switch. Level 19. I doubt you'll have to grind to that level even with a terrible 4-job Fiesta party. If you don't want to fight Ironclaw, just take out 2 wolves real quick, then focus fire on the soldier in the back. He has more HP than a normal soldier, but with only 1 wolf attacking, you'll be fine. If you do fight him, he doesn't really do anything. You can sleep him, and then magic him to death after getting Deathclaw. Level 39 for some reason. What? Spam ice attacks and Ifrit will die fast, same as Liquid Flame. You've had slow for a while, which I just want to have a reminder, always use slow on every boss. He's also vulnerable to confuse, but if you do that, he has a good chance of Faragaing himself for a huge heal. But you could also burn his MP that way, I guess. All 1,000 of it. Level 22. Might be doable for Goblin Punch? I kind of don't know anymore. Byblos is easy if you have mages, just spam fire attacks until he dies. You did just get Ifrit, but if you only have physical attackers, you're kinda screwed. Beastmaster's lucky, you can catch a page 32 to cast Banish on him, which probably won't work the first few times you try it, but it will work eventually. If you ever come across a non-heavy boss, page 32 usually works, and the library is available for the entirety of World 1. Anyway, Byblos is level 24, I think that's not super likely to work here. Sandworm insta-dies to the Blue Mage's Aqua Breath, and will be heavily chunked by the Beastmaster releasing a Dorm Chimera using Aqua Breath. As long as you don't use party hitting attacks, the boss is super easy, it just takes forever. Level 18, but if you have Goblin Punch, you have Aqua Breath. Cray Claw dies to speaking the word thunder out loud. Also, he's vulnerable to sleep for some reason. Ramuh isn't heavy, so Gravity and Deathclaw will make quick work of him, or even going back to the library to catch another page 32, like I mentioned. You can mini him, but I'd advise against this, as he counters by miniing your party right back, which I gotta admit, that's cute. Level 21, but like Sandworm, if you have Goblin Punch, you ideally have Deathclaw. Adamantoise is level 5 deathable, death scytheable, and isn't heavy, so Death Claw and Gravity can work its magic. However, it does have a ridiculous magic evade and innate shell to boost it higher, so spells of that nature are very likely to whiff, just keep that in mind. Level 20, but the also innate protect and shell will make purely damaging moves way less effective despite his ice weakness. The Soul Cannon's launchers are level 5 deathable, and the launcher is very weak to thunder. There isn't really a whole lot to say about this fight. You kind of either can fight him or can't. If I'm really struggling, what I've done a couple times is only have 2 people alive. One healing every turn, one attacking every turn. Usually the healing staff can out-heal whatever the wave cannon does, but don't get too high a level, or else you won't be able to out-heal the wave cannon every turn without, you know, having a shit ton of elixirs or something. I'm also not going to mention levels from here on. Goblin Punch has become way less practical now that you have way more spells to choose from, but, you know, I'll still put the level on screen. In non-Pixel Remaster, you can insta-kill Archeoaevis with 2 captures, a Ronka Knight into an Aegir's Rainbow Wind. The sap will kill the first phase and skip everything else, finishing the fight right away, and I believe the same thing will happen if you kill the first phase with a Monk's Counter. That works for all form change enemies and bosses in the game. If not that, first phase can be Dark Spark level 5 death, second phase isn't heavy, so Death Claw Gravity, third phase doesn't really have a good way to quickly kill it, I don't really have anything there, but fourth phase isn't heavy again. Final phase can be level 5 death. The final phase also isn't undead. I've seen a lot of people think that it is, but it isn't. Purobolos gets pretty easily wiped by any party damaging attack that isn't kick, but even that works in Pixel Remaster, and especially Titan if you fought him first, especially if you got the Gaia Gear Rare Steal during the castle escape. They can also be stopped by the Bard's Stop Song, which prevents them from using their Arise counter if they die while stopped. And none of them are heavy. As a last-ditch effort, you can just let them use self-destruct on you and Phoenix down the problem away. And if you don't want to do that, they're vulnerable to poison, and enemies also will not do on-death stuff if they die to poison. Chimera Brain can be insta'd by the Death Scythe, and also isn't heavy. Go nuts. It's a magic beast that isn't immune to Calm, too. Come in with Float to dodge Titan's on-death Earthshaker, which can be gotten either from confusing a Galacat on North Mountain or a Chemist Mix, and you can use critical HP Knight to be invincible. You can paralyze him with a Whip or Remora, but he's heavy, so it won't last long. I know I just said I wouldn't do this, but according to the wiki, he's level 1. Okay. The Gilgamesh duel versus Galoof can be instantly won with any gravity-adjacent spell. And if you don't have those, just slap on as much physical evasion as you can, because he only does kind of weak physicals. Bridge Gilgamesh is vulnerable to Old from the Ancient Sword, and this fight is one of the only boss fights in the game that Mute can be used in. Or Void. I can never remember what it's actually called. Use it after you've done your setup to prevent him from buffing up in the second half. You can also catch a Tarantula or Shell Bear from Exdeath's castle to slow him after he hastes himself, or punch the shit out of him, respectively. Tyrannosaur, use a Phoenix down. Easiest boss in the game. Abductor isn't really a boss, but he is required. He's not heavy, and he's vulnerable to Break. You have Break Blade now, which is an instant kill on many things. The Dragon Pod is both not heavy and can be killed by the Death Scythe, although you have to pray your Berserker doesn't attack the Little Flowers. Guess you could just hand it to a Freelancer, though. Monk's Kick can easily wipe out the Little Flowers for free, which is handy. Boat Gilgamesh is both susceptible to the Death Scythe and Killer Bow from Kelb, and also to Dark Spark level 5 death. If your success rate on any of those is doing badly and Enkidu showed up, you can control him and make him use Hurricane on himself, since he isn't heavy. And if you don't have control, well, he's not heavy. Atomos is vulnerable to Sleep, and if you don't have Sleep, Sleep Blade, or the Sleep Sword, this fight blows. I don't really have any advice if you can't put him to sleep. Catoblepas can be insta-killed by releasing an Ironback from the cave directly connected to his forest. If not that, his counter to damage is to petrify someone, so if you have an Aegis Shield or Ribbon, all he can do is hit you physically for mediocre damage. He's vulnerable to Stop, but he has high magic evasion and he's heavy, so you can try and time some physical attacks after a successful Stop song. None of the crystals are heavy, but their insanely high level of 77 means spell accuracy checks are not in the favor. Usually what I do is put up Protect or Golem and then just pray the Death Scythe or Death Claw or Killer Bow takes him out. The Gil Turtle is another critical HP Knight boss, but you do need to use the Bone Mail or a Ribbon to avoid most of the damage done from his turtle counter. Apparently, if you have 3 Reflect Rings on your party and you cast a full party Curaga such that 3 of them bounce to Gil Turtle, but one of them heals you, he won't do his counterattack. This seems to be a general quirk of this game, so it could work if like your non-reflect ring person has a flame ring and you cast full party Faraga, but it's most efficient here if you didn't pick up the bone mail for whatever reason. After casting 3 spells, Carbuncle will go into a healing form where he loses his heavy flag, along with any immunities to instant kills. Break Blade, Death Scythe, Death Claw, even the Geomancer can get on it with Sonic Boom, and he also becomes weak to every element, so rod-boosted Aga spells will do some real work too. Being honest, I don't know if Castle Gilgamesh has a cheese method. This isn't really a fight so much as it is a cutscene. A good cutscene, but one nonetheless. Another generally applicable cheese method along the lines of rod breaking and gill toss is catching 4 monsters that use a deal 25% of an enemy's max health move. That'll kill anything that has less than whatever 9,999 times 4 is HP. I'm only mentioning this here because in the rooms preceding the Exdeath fight you can catch a magic dragon which does exactly that. Taking that out of the picture, Exdeath can be a real bastard. His level makes him vulnerable to level 2 Old and level 3 Flare, and level 2 Old is another great general cheese spell. If you time it right, you can level 5 Death something as their level goes down to catch them in the divisible by 5s. Reflect Rings or Carbuncle does wonders in the latter half when he starts taking double actions with his Aga spells, but I don't really have a kill him in 3 turns cheese strategy that isn't the Beastmaster thing. The Antlion is vulnerable to sleep, the little bastard. Spam party damage against the Gargoyles, same as Purobolos. They are insta-killable with the Death Scythe or Assassin Dagger, but I have very low activation chances with those for some reason. They don't have that much magic evade. Melusine can be put to sleep, and also is a barrier change boss that always starts weak to fire. Black Mages and Mystic Knights can probably shred her HP without the sleep, but you can never be too careful. Right outside the forest with this boss, on the few grass tiles on the overworld, you can have a Beastmaster catch a Sleepy if you're lacking even the sleep sword. All 4 Wendigos can be put to sleep, then just spam party damage till they're all dead. Not exactly a hard boss without it, but this is way less tedious. You could also equip flame rings or ice shields to everyone and start spamming party attacks. Their counter to those is neutralized by the ring and absorbed by the shield, so you don't have to play their hide-and-seek gimmick. Did you know Wendigo absorbs water? The hell is that about? For Minotaur, critical HP Knight, and failing that, just have some samurais with shields and elven mantles. They won't be hit very often. Famously, Reflect Rings completely neuter Omniscient, and if you have no magic users, you'll probably have to wait his MP out, however long that takes. In non-Pixel Remaster versions, if an enemy has more than 9,999 MP, you can give them an Ether to set their HP to 9,999. With Omniscient having 30,000, this will cut down on the waiting time by 2/3, but he will counter the Ether with Return, so you gotta make sure he's silenced before you do it. Hope you grab some Mage Mashers. He's heavy, so silence only lasts a second or 2. Gotta act quick. If you're playing on Pixel Remaster, where you don't have emulator speed up and the Ether trick doesn't work, might I point you in the direction of Backlog Buster. Odin is vulnerable to break, so break Blade as soon as you can. He has a level of 2, but a magic evasion of 80, so while you can certainly beat the level difference, you'll have, at best, a 20% chance for break and Catoblepas to work. Break the spell, not, well, you know. Gogo is a fight where you're supposed to cheese him by not doing anything. I'm not about to give advice on how to fight him legitimately. Everybody kills the Trench Trio with Magic Lamp Odin. I suggest you do the same, especially since the lake in the trench can refill the lamp right after. Leviathan can be neutered by a full set of coral rings and a whole lot of thunder magic, not much else to the fight. Hermes Sandals will make you immune to his Paralyze attack, but when you're getting healed to full every other turn with the Water Absorb, I think it's best to stick with that. Bahamut is one of the least cheesable bosses in the game, I'd say. You can bring Reflect Rings to bounce the Mega Flares back for easy max damage. You could try Dark Sparking him a couple times to bring his level down to 24 for level 2 Old shenanigans. You could just spam level 3 Flare at him because his normal level is 99. It's hard not to do this fight in a straight up no gimmicks brawl. Caliphyster's AI changes to focusing on buffing herself if someone has Reflect up. So slap a Reflect ring on someone and go to town. She attacks you directly very infrequently when fought this way. She does have drain counters, but they only do like 500, so it's not a big deal. She's also silenceable, so for Mystic Knights, just spamming Silence Blade will completely neuter her. Like his library counterpart, a panda dies very fast to fire skills. He even has a unique reaction to Ifrit where he wastes his turn being scared, so spamming that'll get you basically a free win. Self-destruct turn 1 to win instantly against Azlamagia, and avoid using any other blue spells because he uses them against you. Have a party member wear a Reflect ring while also floating to put Catastrophe in an infinite loop for another free win. The spell Float, a float mix, going back to North Mountain to confuse a Galacat again without accidentally using the healing pot on the way over. You know, whatever. If you can, make everyone toads going into the Halicarnassus boss fight, because turn 1 he'll untoad you, so you don't have to waste turns using Maiden's Kisses or whatever. You could also just wear ribbons, or the Genji equipment. Hallie is actually vulnerable to Mini, believe it or not, but he's level 90 goddamn 7 with a magic evade of 66, so good luck. If you land it, the fight is totally free, but he's not that hard even without it. He'll use a 9,000 damage Holy at the end of his AI cycle, so you could try reflecting that, but this isn't a roadblock boss if you can't cheese him. After 5 turns, Twintania will begin charging Giga Flare, and during this window, he is vulnerable to all forms of instant kill, and loses the heavy flag, and is level 5 deathable if that wasn't enough. Like, surely your party has someone that can use the Assassin Dagger at this point. If not that, there's 2 ways you can take it. If you have a physically oriented party, Coral Rings are your best bet because he counters physical attacks with Tidal Wave. With a magically oriented one, go full Reflect Ring because Mega Flare is the magic counter. He'll even counter his own reflected spells with a reflected Mega Flare if you're really lucky. Necrophobe's barriers have Reflect, but they are vulnerable to Break and Death, despite being heavy, so use the Mystic Knight's Break Blade or the Death Potion mix to kill them before they start their Flare Holy shenanigans. Lacking that, Summoner wrecks them with Bahamut or a boosted Sildra, bypassing the Reflect, and Beastmaster can get in on the action if you want to capture a Stingray to do huge damage with its Tidal Wave. Or Tsunami. I forget what it is, it doesn't really matter. For Necro proper, critical HP Knight mostly negates his attacks, but he can cast Death outright on someone, which can throw a wrench in that. Necro is weak to every element, so literally any elemental attack will negate his defenses and approach the damage cap. Try and steal that Genji shield. To throw out another works on every boss cheese strategy, the Kiss of Blessing mix in SNES forces Berserk on any enemy, even if they're immune. This means that any boss in the game, again, SNES only, just want to make that clear, can be cheesed with critical HP Knight, but in Exdeath's case, killing him while Berserk skips Neo entirely. And there is a similar bug in GBA with the Cannoneer. Chaos Cannon. I made a video about it. Aside from that, if you're on a standard playthrough, this form of Exdeath probably can't do much to you with Blink, Shell, Golem, the Hermes Sandals, all the blue magic you got, all the mixes. But regardless of party composition, try and make sure to have Petrify protection of some kind so you don't get cheesed by White Hole. For Neo proper, top right can be Darkspark level 5 Death, bottom right is Breakable, bottom left is Heavy, which means Magic Lamp Odin, and the top left is the least cheesable. You can do 2 Darksparks into level 5 Death, but it's also Dragon type, so whatever dragon weapons you gotta work well. Shinryu is legitimately berserkable, so critical HP Knight if you got it, and even if Knight isn't an option, he can be blinded by Flash, one of the mixes, or the Dark Bow. And don't forget any staff user can use the Power Staff to inflict Berserk too, no White Mage needed. If Berserk Shinryu hits you, he'll almost certainly kill someone, but at least it's only one target at a time instead of potentially party wiping you. Omega has a flag, or something, on him to be 100% guaranteed stopped by the Bard's Stop song. He's heavy, so it'll wear off fast, but with 2 or 3 Bards spamming it, he can be infinitely locked down while the last party member does whatever they want to him. A fitting end for this piece of shit robot. And that's what I got. As always, look for the hearted comments down below for info that I missed, because I know I didn't get everything. I still haven't played the advanced content, okay? I still can't rank them. I'll make Achievements Part 2 eventually.